I did. Oh, I didn't miss the speech.
Oh, you need something yet? Well, we'll have to go quick.
All right, everyone. I guess we can get started here. Thank you all for coming. I'm sorry about the late start and some of the confusion in the beginning, but we all made it and we're all here. So thank you everyone for coming. Especially to the guests. I know that it's not inexpensive to travel to DC for something like this. So I really appreciate all of you families and moms coming, and then of course to our supporting centers too, to spend your time and resources to be here with us. Barbara can't be here this time, and she said, tell everyone that she loves you and she's proud of you, and she's sorry that she couldn't be here. So I have a little surprise for her on the table, and there's some pens and a little thing. If you want to write a little note to her, I'm going to mail that to her with something. So that would be nice of you. So let me start. I'm going to introduce myself right away. My name is Michelle Jaskolski. As of yesterday, I am the executive director of the Addict's Mom now. So my husband Daryl and I, we have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. Our 2 boys have struggled with opiate and heroin addiction for almost 6 years. They're both in recovery right now.
Yes. Woo! Come on now, that's what we're here for.
This is awesome. Yep. We have a 30-year-old who's about a year and a half in recovery. He has our grandson who's just going to be 1 next month. So excited about that. And then our 24, going to be 25 next month-year-old son is about 6 months now in recovery, and he has relocated himself down to Florida, and he's found a really good group of recovery support, community resources, and things there. So he seems to be doing well. I miss him like crazy, but it's the best thing for him, so I'm okay with that, yeah. So just to kind of update you on TAM, what we've been doing for the last year since we were here. When I started in 2014. There were about 19,000 members in TAM. Now we're close to 90,000. So while it's awesome that we're reaching so many moms and families, it's sad to think that many people need our help. So, but TAM has been, besides growing with members, we've been adding new groups to kind of specialize support for people. We've added mothers of incarcerated children, because there's some unique challenges for that. We've added an addict spouses group for spouses. We've added one for mothers of pregnant daughters dealing with addiction, so that's been a really exciting new group. And then just the last one we just added was an advocacy group, and that's kind of like my baby. I'm really proud of that one. In the first 30 days, we had almost 1,000 members request to join, and to me, that says that moms are fed up. We're fed up with this, and we're ready and willing and wanting to do something about it. And so that group is just kind of where people can share resources of, how to advocate in their community, how to raise awareness, if there's different petitions or things, we can all support each other in there. So that's what's happening. TAM has a race car now, I believe in North Carolina. A mom in our group paid to sponsor the Addict's Mom logo on a race car. So he's been racing all season with our logo on his roof. We've provided 10 scholarships in the last year to member families, and only one of them left AMA, but the other 9, as far as we know, are still doing well and in recovery, so that's awesome. Great. Of course. And then our newest thing, which is what brings a lot of you here, is TAM is starting to partner with treatment centers just to get more information, more support, more help to our members. A lot of you who have been in TAM for a while will know our Ask Lyle, our monthly column, where we would do a member question and he would respond with an answer to it. Well, we're expanding on that. We've just recently added the retreat centers. They have Palm County or Palm Beach? Palm Beach County, and then Lancaster County in Pennsylvania. So we've just added, we're calling it the Retreat Minute. So we've just started that. So we'll be looking for more from them. And then next month in September, we're starting with Recovery Boot Camp, who is also here. So we got to come up with a catchy name for y'all, but we'll do that. And kind of, so every month we're putting them in the groups, you know, not necessarily to promote one group over another, but the people that work in these centers really want to give moms support and advice, you know, from how to, you know, if your kid is using drugs, to how do you draw the line between enabling and loving, you know, how do you choose a center when they're in a center, how do you support them, you know, and then they're in recovery, and then what does that look like, you know, are they supposed to do their 9th step, when are they going to apologize to me, and all those questions that you might have as a parent. Exactly, so we're really excited about that. Okay, let me think. What do I have to do? I have something to do, but she's not here, so I have to skip that part. Oh, one other thing. No, she didn't answer. I'm going to pass this around. These are for my door prizes. Super amazing companies have donated. I gave most of your moms your gift bags. I'll read them later just to thank them publicly, because everyone has been so awesome. Books and jewelry and t-shirts and all sorts of stuff in your bags. These are for the door prizes, which I have on the table over there. So I'll pass this, write your name, peel it off, and someone will collect it.
I'll come back and collect it.
Stick it on your head.
I don't know. Yeah, do something with it. Okay, so since Celeste isn't here to do that, I am going to start inviting our sponsor speakers up to come in. We're going to start with the retreat. Like I said, they are in Palm Beach, Florida, and Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And we're just starting. I think we put out 2 articles by them, but one of the things that we are really excited about is they have a special prenatal program in their Lancaster one, so we're going to kind of try to explore that a little bit more in the future. So if I don't know who's speaking from the retreat, but come on up and you can introduce yourself and who you've brought with you. And just for all of our sponsors here this month, they're all getting a little plaque. That's your in TAM we have our TAM heroes, so you're all the hero of the month this month. So these are
all right.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I'm glad to see so many people, and at the press conference before, taking the time to come out and have your voices heard. My name is Tom Garofalo. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. We have 2 main campuses currently. My first main campus, we opened. I've never heard that. I have never ever heard anybody tell me speak up. Okay. We have 2 main campuses. We're a full service detox residential, and then outpatient, partial, all of that. Our first campus opened 6 years ago, August 15th. In Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's on 24 acres of beautiful, tranquil rolling hills in the Dutch Amish country of Pennsylvania. We have 100. Yeah, sure, why not? I guess.
Thank you, Eddie.
Hello? Hey, there you go. That's good. Baby, we were born to. Okay, so anyway, we opened 6 years ago in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's a 120-bed campus. Because of our success, we have expanded 5 times there. We have about 150,000 square feet on 24 acres, and we have a 175-bed campus. We have about 400 employees there. So our ratio from client to staff ratio is completely reversed than what is typical in the industry. We opened a brand new campus, 3.5-acre campus in Florida, a year ago in June. It's a 113-bed campus. Some of my friends in here, like Tom, has been to both facilities, has seen what we do. Again, we are an in-network facility, so we work with the insurances in-network. There's a lot of talk right now about Florida. We are not part of what the problems are down there. We're hoping to lead positive changes in Florida. That's part of our role. That's how we see it. We're opening in Connecticut. At the end of the year, January, it'll be an 80-bed facility on the outskirts of New Haven, Connecticut. And about 18 months right now, if the timetable works, we will have a 300-bed campus outside of Pittsburgh. That's on 60-some acres. We work very closely with a lot of community. My best friend's son, who's also like my nephew, Casey, died of an overdose in 2009. Out of that, we formed City of Angels in New Jersey. Some of you may have heard City of Angels. Kevin Beer is very up on the forefront of this whole issue. We work with Sage's Army out near Pittsburgh and a lot. We work up in Connecticut, CARE. There's a lot of organizations similar to the Addict's Mom that we do a lot of work with. As Michelle said, we have a prenatal program. We can take pregnant women right up to pregnancy. It's on a case-by-case basis, but at any point in their pregnancy, right up to birth, we can take a pregnant woman in. We use Subutex for our detox protocols, a lot less stress on the mother and the baby. Family support groups, family groups. Our family education group happens, I think, 3 times a week at both facilities. We have a big alumni presence now. Everything is individualized, and I can go on and on. I'm very proud of what we're doing. And so if there's any way that we can continue to work with anybody here, that's why we're here. I want to just introduce the staff that I have that I brought with me. My national representative and our college designee. She's working with a lot of the colleges around the country. Kate Black, Kate, stand up. I usually have her sign book signings as Cameron Diaz. It usually gets me it gets me a lot of people. Next to her is Vanita Hockman. Vanita is my Miami, Florida rep. And Dave Dunkel, this is part of his territory, has been in the industry for a long time, has been with us for a while now. I'm happy that they're here with us. Thank you for what you guys do, and for everybody that's here.
Appreciate you coming out.
So a few new people came in, so feel free to come up here and grab some food. Don't be bashful. There's plenty of that. Our next speakers up are going to be Rico Intensive, and Rico is based out of Delray Beach, correct? Yes. Okay. Awesome. And then here's, no, that's not yours. Here's your hero of the month. Thank you for your support.
Afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Christopher Pasquale from Rico Intensive in Delray Beach, Florida. I'm here with Brian Greenblatt, who's the Director of Community Outreach. We're a small facility in Delray Beach that focuses only on aftercare, intensive outpatient. We also have housing. Part of our program in the heart and reason why we even wanted to be a part of TAM is that the importance of the family you can't take that away when you're working with people new in recovery. Most clients come to us, they have 30 to 45 days sober already, and now they're looking for jobs, they're looking to integrate into the community, and one of the big things is getting them back with their families. And so many times we see families kind of move in the opposite direction than what they were doing while they're in residential. So while they're in residential treatment, the therapist is speaking with them and telling them, don't enable, don't do this, work with them, and then all of a sudden they get to an IOP level of care and they say, oh wow, my kid is doing great, I need to give them everything and make sure this continues. And the same thing then begins to happen what's happening when they were out there using. And so one of the things that we really focus on is bringing the families in and continuing that family education. Because the longer that they stay sober, obviously is best for them, but it's also great for the family to be able to see them make that transition to really, a lot of times, adulthood, actually becoming adults and being independent. We really encourage our clients to work, to have jobs, to pay their own way. They have to pay rent, they have to buy their own food. They are responsible for themselves. Now that's not to say that we tell families you can't help at all, but at the same time there has to be a balance. And it's actually very personally, it's important as well because 13 years ago, our family lost my brother to addiction. And, you know, the idea of moms is super important for me because my mom actually responded in a very negative way, and she didn't have the support. And she wound up using for a lot of years. And actually just recently she spent a year at a place called Straight and Narrow in Paterson, New Jersey. And then actually is now sober for about a year and a half. And actually, so I hadn't seen her for 6 years. And she actually came down to Florida and visited and got to meet her new grandson and my wife. And so it was a really, really awesome thing to see. But now she is surrounded by mothers who have lost children to the disease. She's around people who are giving her the support, and she's also able to give that support. And so the idea of the family, again, is really important for us at RICO. We want to see families brought back together. Another big part of what we do, and that's really important to us at RICO, we have 9 houses, and each house is named after a person who was a friend of RICO's or who came through RICO and has passed away. And this past week, 2 weeks ago, we were able to bring that family down and do a dedication for that family and the person who lost their lives. This disease is ravaging the whole entire United States. It's hurting so many families, destroying so many families. And so each of us in the treatment industry, from people all over the place, we need to come together and work together so that we can help put a stop to this and give the people they need, give the individuals, the people struggling with addiction, good places to get good treatment. Thank you for having us.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, so I'm just going to take a real quick minute break because there's a lot of food and I see empty glasses. So refill your plate, refill your drink, use the bathroom real quick. Let me recombobulate and then we'll start again.
What do you wait? Somebody collect those?
Oh, that's right. That's actually what I wanted to do, was collect the door prize drawings.
Yes.
Yep, fold them up. Give them to Daryl. He'll collect them. Oh, well, you're out. Sorry.
Nope.
All right. It should be coming. Yeah, exactly. It's coming. You know what? While you're doing that, I'm just going to real quickly read over our door prize donors and thank them since we're streaming live. So, go ahead. I don't know where does anyone need anything to drink? Into the waitresses there. Okay. Safer Lock gave us prescription boxes. One Rep at a Time gave us a T-shirt and a discount code. Sandy Swanson and her Joey Song book. The Addict's mom donated some shirts. Rev Kev Coughlin, the addiction expert, gave us some books. Desiree's Soul, Love is Greater Than Hate Project book. Why Don't They Just Quit organization, some books and DVDs. Perfectly Flawed Foundation, Lutasha, a T-shirt. Anthony Anamio, 2 books. Sam Kionis gave us a book. Tom Farley, Chris Farley's brother, is in Wisconsin, so we have a connection with him, so he gave us a book. Chris Cruz, We Do Recover, and LockMed Lockbox. And then for the goodie bags for the moms that are here, we have videos from Steered Straight, a bag and a mug from Nova Counseling. Safer Lock gave you all a little prescription lock bottle. A bracelet from Stop Heroin Now, I Am Second bracelet. Tim Ryan from Dope to Hope gave everyone a signed copy of his book. Rose Krantz gave us some miscellaneous. Phoenix Multisport, a sticker. My friend Bonnie, the headpiece headbands are in there. She hand makes those by hand and sells them to raise awareness in honor of her son. So everyone got one of those. Everyone also got a Beyond Addiction book because that's a little self-plug for me and my husband. We actually do a recovery study, a faith-based program at our church every Saturday for people looking for recovery. So we had someone donate enough for us all, for us to give you all a book for that because we really love it. Let's see, McShin Foundation, the Kennedy Forum in Illinois, Addiction Policy Forum, Prison Fellowship, Sonorian Prevention Works gave everyone Narcan. So I know I said I wasn't going to put that in your bag, but it is in your bag. So if it bothers you, take it out. shades of fun. We have some fun purple sunglasses. Generation Found offered a free, Greg Williams offered a free download of the movie. That's why I collected everyone's email, so you should be getting that. And then Amy Andrew, one of our moms, made some cool purple note cards that are in there as well. So just to thank all of them for all of that. Okay, now what we can do is, earlier I was talking about how I really love our advocacy group and people are supporting each other and raising awareness. And one example, Celeste.
What?
I'm talking.
I didn't do it.
Celeste, actually, if you can come up here, I have a little something for you. Because Celeste is in my advocacy group, and she is amazing. Not only does she always do everything I ask her to do for TAM to help out in the groups and things, she is super busy in her own community. She's on some coalitions and boards, and I don't even know all the stuff you do. But you are an amazing example of an advocate, and exactly how I hope that all moms would be. And so you are getting our very first TAM Advocate of the Year. So.
Hi everybody, what's going on? I've been live since yesterday. My name is Celeste Pranick. I am the proud addict's mother, who is in remission. I call it remission for 15 months, total abstinence. I lost a brother 20 years ago in January due to him being an IV user and dying from AIDS. I lost another brother on the other side of the fence. He was a dealer and got murdered. Addiction, I've been drowning in all my life. The addict's mom saved my life. And I do wear many hats between smart recovery and I'm lost for words. People that know me aren't going to believe this, but I'm lost for words.
What's your coalition I'm a part of?
I run a helpline 24/7. It's called EMAC. It is the Endless Mountain Addiction Awareness Committee for Pennsylvania. We're 9 counties long, and the great thing about EMAC is it's a huge umbrella of state, local, county agencies. But the most important thing is it's us grassroots advocates that cut right through the chase, right through that middle person, and I can get someone in detox in less than 24 hours. Just by networking with all you wonderful people that back us. And that's what you do for our children and our loved ones, and we appreciate that. I'm also second chair of a committee called Not One More in Wyoming County, not to be associated with the national Not One More. Another mother that lost a child was 2 years ago Monday in Florida, sober home. EMAC was started by a gentleman named Keith Kinsman. He lost his son a year ago in March. Ben. Pills, snorting, fentanyl. 63% of the calls I have gotten in the last year with overdoses were not injections. They were snorting them. And they were all fentanyl based. Lately, my calls are meth. Do you gentlemen have this issue? Are you hearing of this and where you're all at? Where the meth is booming now. So it's not just the opiates. We're in this to win this against every addiction. Alcohol. And I'm a firm believer that mental illness and addiction goes hand in hand. So we need to care for those that are mentally weak, as we all were at one time. According to a phrase called "It takes a village of voices to be heard." To let our voices be heard. I'm like really honored.
Thank you. I'm sorry to surprise you.
I'm not prepared. Thank you. We love TAM. Thank you. Thank you.
And now we will have our newest partners, like I mentioned. Is it not on? I don't know. Hello? Yeah, it's on. Okay. Hold it close. Recovery Boot Camp, who is also in Delray Beach.
All right.
Correct? So here you are, Hero of the Month. Thank you.
I'm just going to speak. I'm Tim Schnellberger. I'm the owner of Recovery Boot Camp. I'm just going to speak for a second because I'm not the best speaker in the world, so I'm going to have Dave Zade come up and speak for me in a minute. But I just wanted to introduce myself. 15 years ago, I opened a sober living in Delray Beach before all this started happening down there, all the craziness down there. Within a few years, I had about 81 beds. And over the time that I had just a sober living, I realized that a lot of the treatment centers were sending people out of 30-day programs, and they were just not really prepared. Aftercare was an afterthought. And I decided about 2.5 years ago to start a treatment center that had recovery, residential, PHP, IOP, and OP, and aftercare as well. Our program is a 90-day program. It's very intensive. It's all male facility, and it's about the main thing is about being accountable, and that's what we help these guys with. I'm with 2 of my staff here, Dave Zafe, and who's my executive administrator, and Nick Johnson, who's my communications director. 100% of my staff is in recovery themselves. 90% are alumni of mine. So these 2 guys are alumni with years of sobriety behind them. And I'm going to have Dave come up and talk about the detail of our program a little bit, because he does a great job. He's also the lead facilitator for the core of our program, which is Recovery Dynamics, which is straight up 12-step program, which is the core of our program.
Thank you, Tim.
One more thing. And because this is the Addict's mom, my mom had 3 of us. One of the things I did do, and I really think it's important, it is a family disease. My mother and my father, I videotaped them doing their story, and it's on our website. So if you want to see what my mom went through and how she got through it, she does a great job of articulating it, much better than I do. But she's a great lady, and she's a saint now. So you can check her out on our website.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Tim. So again, my name is David Zafe. I wear many hats, just like Celeste does with the Addict's mom. I'm Tim's executive administrator. I'm also the lead group facilitator at Recovery Boot Camp for a program we run called Recovery Dynamics. And most importantly, I think as well, like Tim mentioned, I'm also an alumni of Tim's program. I myself am an alcoholic in recovery, and so I feel a special connection to the Addict's mom, because the person that was always there for me, even when I was at my worst, was my mother. And I think as an alcoholic, especially now in recovery, looking back, I had a profound knack for hurting the people that were the closest to me, and that ended up being my mother. So for her to stand by me, and for someone like Tim, when I was hurting, I would go through his program, not ready to really get sober. This is going back 2005, so that was when I was first exposed to recovery. And for Tim to always be there to hold me accountable, to always have a bed for me when I was, down and out asking for help, is a testament to who he is as a person and the kind of staff he runs. It's a privilege to work at a place where everybody who works there is in recovery. Long-term recovery, 12-step experience. When I was new in sobriety, I thought that I was a master manipulator. I could fool anybody. But so we've all invented the rules our clients are trying to break. We're the reasons those rules are in place, so you can't get anything past us. And getting down into the core of the program, the Recovery Dynamics program, basically what that is it's an in-depth breakdown of the 12-step recovery model. When I was first exposed to recovery when I was younger, I didn't really understand what it was about, what it could do for me. I was confused, and therefore I didn't really jump in with both feet. I didn't know what I didn't know. So every alcoholic, every drug addict that comes into our facility, we make sure that by the time they leave, they have a working knowledge of what they're suffering from, right? Because I came in thinking drugs and alcohol were my problem. Turns out those are my solution to the underlying problem, which was me. So we make sure we understand what the problem is, what the solution is, and then the bridge to get from problem to solution. So we encourage sponsorship in any 12-step fellowship that the client identifies with. Sponsorship, meeting with our sponsor, attending meetings, doing step work. This is mandatory. Recovery Dynamics is there to assist them in answering questions about their step work, answering questions about early recovery. Again, for someone myself, there's Michelle, I think, that said, when is my child going to make their amends to me, their ninth step. You know, the most profound moment in my own recovery was getting to do that with my mother. You know, I had stolen from her, I had lied to her, I had really made her life difficult. And I was able to sit down with her and try and make those things right. But what's amazing about this program, and one of the gifts that it gives, is I went to make amends to her for one thing that I thought, right? And I tried my best to explain how I had wronged her. And she let me speak, and then when I was finished, she said something that I'll never forget. It was probably the most profound moment of my recovery. She said that she didn't even care about all those things that I was making amends for. She said that she would stay up at night wondering how she had failed me as a mother. You know, and I get a little emotional even now talking about it because, you know, we think we hurt people in one way, but it turns out once we get sober and we really look at what we've been doing, it's affecting people in a way deeper and more profound way. But after that moment, I was able to have the first honest conversation with my mother that I think I'd ever had in my adult life, you know, and as a result now, you know, she gets to come down and visit me, and we have a guest bedroom, and she doesn't have to hide her wallet, you know, and she's able to see me get engaged to the love of my life, right?
That's right.
It's amazing what this program can do for us, and Recovery Boot Camp's a pretty amazing place because the guys that come through there, they're hopeless and broken. They get to see guys like me who's nothing special, but I've been through what they've been through, and they can see me on the other side, right? So they know that it's possible. And when our entire staff has that mentality, there's a hope there that I think these guys really latch onto. And as a result, we're having a lot of success. So if you guys want to know any more about the program, just come see me, Tim, or Nick, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Did everyone turn in their door prize thing now? Because I'm going to do that in a minute. Okay. Don't miss out. There's some good stuff. All right. When I was talking about how Celeste kind of goes above and beyond, you know, I know everyone works hard, and I totally appreciate everyone's efforts and things. And this goes for our sponsors as well. Our last speaker sponsor that I'm going to call is Lyle, Freed from the Shores. And Lyle is, like Celeste, someone who always goes above and beyond, I think. And he's been a longtime supporter of the Addict's Mom. He's always there, you know, professionally and personally to help moms. A story of my own, when my son, when we were looking to send him back to treatment, I wasn't even considering the Shores, but I called Lyle and asked him a million questions about all these other, and he took the time to sit on the phone with me, you know, having never met me, and just reassure me and do things like that. So personally, just a great person. And then for the Addict's Mom, he's offered actually a scholarship that we were supposed to announce for here, but like often happens, couldn't wait, and we had someone who needed to get into treatment right away, and so Lyle was able to work that out where he could go and do that. So I'm going to have him come up and speak, and actually you also get a first time ever Hero of the Year.
Thank you. A few things have changed if you were here last year, so I'll get back to a little bit about why the Shores exist and who we are and what we do. And it's really based on my history in recovery. When I first realized I was addicted, I just figured I was smart enough to figure it out. And if I ever really wanted to stop, I would. So I tried that, and then about 20 years later, I finally gave up the ghost and said, I need help. So I went to what was supposed to be the best in the world, and I paid them this is in the 90s, $40,000 for a 4-week program because it was the best, and I had a good business, and I was going to pay for the best. And so about 2 weeks in, they told me, you know, we really think you're a pretty severe case. You need at least 3 months of care. And I'm 2 weeks sober. I'm going, whatever you say. You know, I realize I can't do it, so that's fine. So the next week they said, well, in order for you to stay, we need another 40 grand. I said, I'm an addict. What kind of money do you think I have? I mean, I could try and sell my house. And they said, well, let us think about it. So 2 days later, I graduated. Miracle of miracles. Suddenly I was healed. That didn't go real well. They sent me to a 3/4 way house that was co-ed. And my roommate wouldn't let me in, had the door deadbolted because he was banging heroin. And as I'm waiting for him to open the door, the girl across the hall from me is being carted out for a ketamine overdose. Somehow I managed to stay clean for 3 months. A miracle of miracles. But then suddenly I find myself back at it. I did all the things they told me to. I called my sponsor and explained I had a burning desire, and he said, I'm kind of busy, call me later tonight. So that was all the answer I needed, and I was off to the races. I couldn't go back home because the people I had allowed into my house were not healthy for me. So I lived in my car until someone stole my car. And then I was really, really homeless. And I actually still stayed in that world for another almost a year and a half. Because I just felt, I got to tell you, when I went to that first place, they told me, they put us in a big room, over 100 people, and they told us that 3 of us would survive, X number you will be dead, and the rest of you will relapse. Well, naturally, at that moment, I thought I was one of the 3. But when I relapsed, I figured I just must be one of those hopeless cases. I'm going to die this way. I really had no hope. I couldn't see my way out of it. I'd done everything they told me. And yet here I was again. And then I just, one night I realized that things were not going well. Go figure. As I'm sitting in an area that no human should ever walk. And I got on my knees and prayed. And within 2 hours, someone found me and said that they found a place for me. And then I could go there, and it was free, which was a whole lot better than 40 grand as far as I was concerned. So I said, okay, but immediately I began thinking, well, there's this guy that owes me money first, and I was already backing out of this arrangement. Thankfully, they didn't let me back out, and they held me to it, and I ended up sleeping in someone's living room on a cot for 2 weeks while this free bed became available. So I get there, and it's a horrible program. They basically degrade you to build you back up. They tell you how worthless you are. You have to dig a ditch to fill it back in. You have to sweep the sun off the sidewalk all day. You cut the grass with scissors and count the blades. I mean, it was just a degrading program. But it was better than where I was. So even horrible beat the situation that I was coming from, so I stayed. The person who found it for me told me it was a 30-day program. It was a 9-month program. So I stayed the 9 months just out of spite, if nothing else, because the people there seemed to be doing everything they could to drive us out. I stayed. I actually helped them become more professional, helped them get licensed, helped them hire psychiatrists, psychologists, and other professionals that they just didn't have. But they did allow me to stay, and that was the one thing I needed at that point, was definitely time away from my environment. So I began to think about, as I was in that process, I had time to study and learn, and I was learning about addiction being a brain disease and a spiritual malady and all these other viewpoints. So I said, I'm going to figure out, if they're telling me that 3% is our average success rate, we really suck at what we do, okay? And we had better find a better way. So I began doing research on what constituted good recovery. Went back to school. For me, my faith was important. I went back to seminary, became a pastor. You have to understand, I was on my own financially at 13, completely out on my own at 15, living in the streets of Miami. Finished high school on my own, lived in my own apartment. That didn't go real well. At 16, I was abducted. I was raped, tortured, left for dead. I had trauma issues that needed to be dealt with, and I had yet to find a counselor who could tell me another thing than work the 12 steps. Nothing against the 12 steps, but I needed something more. And I wasn't getting it anywhere I looked. So I began looking into what real care looked like. And so I went back to school, went to seminary, became ordained, went back and got a psych degree, went and got another psych degree. I'm in school again today. But through that process, I began counseling, and then I began doing accreditation and licensing as a consultant, and then working on outcomes. How do we make this work better? How do we help people best? And the answer, quite frankly, was that there isn't a way. Okay? Meeting each person at their individual need was the way, was the answer. Not everybody needed the trauma care I needed. For some people, the 12 steps are my wife is a great example. 27 years clean, and she did that through AA. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. And I met her because she was running a mental health primary substance abuse secondary home. They went to the same church group that our group went to when I was working at that center that I had graduated from. So I began doing that, and then I became a clinical director and executive director, and I got frustrated. I was working in nonprofit with the inability to pay professionals. In the nonprofit sector that I was working in, we were grant-driven, United Way, some Department of Correction funds. And at one point, we were running a program for veterans that were homeless, PTSD, and addicted, and it was a 2-year, $27 a day per diem. I was having a hard time feeding them for that kind of money. So I went back into private care, and then I got frustrated there because they seemed to only care about the money. People, your insurance is done, you're done. You graduated. Same thing that happened to me, and I swore I'd never be involved in that. So with that, my frustration led to the shores, where I felt that we could do it the right way, where people are available to have long-term care. We use the, much like you do, a 90-day is sort of a minimum as far as I'm concerned. When we do scholarships, I want them to commit to 90 days. If you're not willing to do it, this isn't a 30 days and you're out in the street. If you're not willing to do at least 90 days, don't bother coming in. Now, I know that people say that and then they get there and 45 days later they feel great, and now there's, and I'll tell you, we've referred to you, and we've referred to Retreat. You guys I'm new to, so I'm glad to meet you because it sounds like you do great things, and I'd be excited to work with a place like that. So family was important. I didn't have a family, you know, but I saw the people around me. I had a family, we just didn't talk. So I saw the people around me that their family rejecting them or helping them too much and all those things. So we started a strong family program, having professionals. So we have on-site psychiatrists, psychiatric RMPs. We are now able to help military families, and we take TRICARE because that has always been a soft spot in my heart. And so that ability to treat those families has been a blessing to us. My faith was important to me, but I don't want anyone to follow my faith. I want them to follow their beliefs. I can't tell anyone what to believe. So we make the Christian program an option. We have pastors on staff for that. We have licensed IDs that run up to certified structured family therapists to work with the families. We have, again, a full medical team. We do subacute detox, residential, PHP, IOP, outpatient, aftercare programs, alumni programs. The family program is free because, quite frankly, it's telemed is the way most people end up doing it. And if you're familiar with laws, and we're very much a stickler for ethics and standards and legal practices, the laws are different for every state. So rather than try and figure out those convoluted things, it's easier just to give it away. But it's so important that we don't leave it out because it is, we do a lot of outcome measures. We're a research center as well. So we do research on the different factors that work. We collect data on a daily basis. We crunch those numbers on a weekly basis, and we change the care we give based on that report and those informations. And one of the things we do is that nutritional component in amino acid therapies, because we can actually help balance or rebalance, they call it dopamine homeostasis or neurotransmitter homeostasis, your brain chemistry. My brain chemistry, I'm one of those people who suffers from what they call reward deficiency syndrome. I have a genetic predisposition toward compulsive behaviors. I'm a born addict. I was an addict waiting to happen. We now have the ability to test for that in vitro. One of the best prevention tools ever out there. It's called the GARS. We're waiting for its release, hopefully by the end of this year, early next year. And what that does is it allows to test somebody for that genetic predisposition so that you can take proper precautions. So that child goes to the dentist at 11 years old, and well, first of all, at 11 years old, Vicodin is a bad idea anyway, but you can explain to the doctor and to the dentist or whoever, this child is at risk. We need to take the precautions not to set them up. Yeah, isn't that cool? So the science behind recovery is real. So understanding that SAMHSA did a 35-year longitudinal study. Let me know if I'm going too long. That said that, and this is old information. It's still accurate because we have more information now. That there were several factors that constituted good recovery and lifelong sobriety, and among those were hope for a future. And I heard you guys talking about that. If we don't have hope of getting well, because I'll tell you, when I first went to treatment, they said, just one day at a time. And I thought, why? I'm miserable. I want to be miserable again tomorrow. Why should I stay clean today just so I can say I'm clean today? That doesn't make any sense to me. But when it was explained to me that I could have a better life, that there was hope for me to return to some semblance of normalcy, or at least have hope for something, some joy in my life, something that I felt was deficient in my life, that gave me hope. The other was that therapeutic alliance, and much like they talked about the retreat, we have an average client to counselor ratio of 1 to 4. Because if I can't give you the attention you need and you don't feel that that's a real relationship, as opposed to somebody who's being paid to punch a clock and write stuff down in a chart, then we're not really helping you. If you're not willing to really talk to this person and they can't meet with you when you need to be met with, then we're not really helping you. And then the other one was a spiritual relationship, and that's why we make a spiritual program available. I don't define it for them, but I want them to pursue something that makes them feel connected to something. Beyond that, the science of that brain chemistry. When I heard it was a brain disease, we've known that, we've been hearing that since the 70s. Well, Dr. Ken Blum is the guy who discovered that connection and the genetic predisposition toward addiction in the 70s, and he's now our neuroscience advisor. And he's developed different protocols that we use to help balance that brain chemistry. So for me, I had a dopamine deficiency. You and I would go see the same comedy, and you would laugh your butt off and tell me, that's the best movie I've ever seen, that's awesome! And I'd say, yeah, that was the best one I've ever seen too. My level of excitement, my maximum pleasure in life never matched a normal person's. But boy, you put some drugs in there, it went beyond normal. So now my brain says we need more of that. And I went through that cycle of chasing that. And unfortunately, there's diminishing returns. What happens when you put the artificial one in is you go artificially high and then sink artificially low. So after the fact, we all end up having depression, anxiety, all the issues that happen from tanking your system. We can now balance that right off the bat to determine, do they have clinical depression or clinical anxiety, or is this an imbalance of neurotransmitter activities? There's a lot more to it. The real thing is that there's good people in here doing good things, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I look around this room, and I will tell you that when I first met with Barbara about TAM, I was hesitant because there's a lot of shady people in our business. I'm very careful about who I work with, who my name's attached to, and who we do business with or don't do business with. There's a lot of people, and there's some great people working at some of these places, but there's also some shady people, so we step very far away from all that. And I will say that for the first 6 months of talking with Barbara, I was investigating everybody who was attached to the Addict's mom to make sure that my name wasn't going to be attached to them if I didn't think they were right. And I will say that the Addict's mom has done a great job, but the people in this room are real, they're honest, they're ethical, and they're reliable, and they actually care about the people they're helping. So I just want to thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lyle. Don't forget your very professional certificate. All right, so that is pretty much it for my part of the thing. Feel free. We don't have to rush out. The march and the candlelight vigil doesn't start until 7. So if you're going to that, we can kind of all go as a group too if you want. It's right up at the Ellipse. It's probably close enough to walk if you're a walking person. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But stay, chat, have another sandwich. If you want, please sign the little card for Barbara. And I just pulled names and attached them to a door prize, so check for your names. But again, thank you everyone. Thank you TAM moms for coming and for caring enough about everyone, about the community, and not just, it's easy to go within yourself and only care about what affects you, but to really step out and raise awareness and to care about the greater good. Thank you for that. Thank you again to Retreat and Rico and Recovery Boot Camp and the Shores, and I'm super excited to be working with you all, and I'm looking forward to it, so thank you.
I just want to say something real quick, please. Michelle is like our little storm trooper. We have to acknowledge this beautiful TAM warrior here. She worked her butt off to get all those goodies in your goodie bags, all the presentations you guys got for being our heroes, the giveaways. Her husband was graciously enough to share the house with all this stuff, so we thank him as well.
Yes, thank you.
And she is now our director.